With coronavirus now spreading from person to person within the UK, health officials are looking at a menu of options to delay the worst of the outbreak, including social distancing.
Social distancing.
Social distancing. That's 2 metres by 2 metres.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a police message. If you're not exercising or doing any essential shopping, please go home.
A lot going on in the world, especially with like the coronavirus and the death of George Floyd, which I don't know about you, mate. It has absolutely shocked me. It's really as someone as like two white, like, and I don't want to say privileged. We're very privileged people in the scheme of life.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you don't mind me saying. It's really, as someone I thought I was very open, but it's very much opened my eyes to how much more we can do, like especially how much more we can educate ourselves, and especially educate. I don't want to say the people who need it, but
I think the thing is as well. I think so much in this country. I think it's been brushed under the carpet a lot with how we've dealt with it, and sometimes the way that it's broadcast, it'll be like, well, it's like, for example, let's talk about the footballers situation. Like last year when there was all that with Paul Pogba, Tammy Abraham, Kurt Zuma, Marcus Rashford, and it was all out there. But it's out there for about a week, and then it sort of just muffles away, and that's where we need to stop that. It needs to be broadcast to an extent which I think it is now, where we need to, as a nation, now go, enough is enough. I mean, it amazes me that we're still even talking about racism in the world now with all the things that we've got around us. Like we go to cinemas and we hail people like Will Smith, Samuel L. Jackson, two actors that I look up to with huge joy. Footballers, I grew up worshipping Didier Drogba and players like that, and they all come from the black community, but like it shouldn't be singled out that they're different to us. We are all one human race. There isn't distinct differences, and it needs to be completely forgotten about now. We need to stop all this difference. We are all one humanity. And that's where this world needs to go now. And enough is enough now. Racism has to end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's opened my eyes to the point of, like, we thought we could understand, but we can't understand what they're going through. Like, we could have things that happen in our life, but it will never make us understand. I think we need to be championing Black lives more than just 1 month a year. Like, it shouldn't need a month. It should just be happening all year round. And I can't believe that, like you said, I see a lot of people calling in on TalkSport and saying, "Oh, just keep it away from the politics and all that." And it's like, keep football away from the politics. It's like, this is not political. This is like human rights. This is. I know. I just listening to people like Hugh Rosencroft on TalkSport, like really opening up and saying his piece. Having people call in and saying their piece, and people are still saying all lives matter. I can't believe people are still saying all lives matter. That's not the point.
No,
it's just not the point at all.
It's still going around, because when you look, even like as a nation, like we sometimes think with England, we're perfect. We are far from perfect with dealing with the situation, and adding the football element into it as well. You look at England's two best players.
Yeah.
On paper, it's Harry Kane and Raheem Sterling. They're the two that when we go to these big tournaments now, when we go into these games, they're the two that we look at mainly and go, you're going to be the ones to push us through and get us out of trouble, and you're world-class players. You look at the way that the media idolises Harry Kane, and everything he does is gold dust, like he's the golden boy of football. And you look at the way that the media treats Sterling, and every single thing that he does is always wrong. And you look at some things that Harry Kane has done, like last year when Harry Kane headbutted Aspilicueta, and nothing was done about it. If that had been Sterling, it would have been all over the news. And this is what needs to change. We need to stop one rule for one and one rule for the other. It just needs to be stopped now, because you can't have it both ways, because there's people who are black who we idolize, and there's people who are white who we idolize, and yet there's still people that are objectifying the black community out there, and it's wrong. It really does affect me, and like it's still a lot to understand, and it's still, as you said, coming from me as a white person, there's still some things that I will not understand, but I'm trying to understand more. And
the best thing I saw was, I can't remember who said it, or if it was just like a generic thing, but people were saying, there was this like image going around saying, I do not understand, but I stand. And I thought that was so powerful. Last 10 years, do you know what? People don't even mind if you've had your eyes open the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yesterday, as long as you're willing to open your eyes and say, just before it's too late, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I think it's great watching Sky Sports and Sky put these things saying, we pledge to do more at the end of, like, before they go for an ad break for Black Lives Matters, and to have a more diverse range of staff. But you got to actually pull through. Like, don't just get rid of this message after a month. Have it printed on your website. Like, this is
what I mean. It needs to like, we can't just keep having it as a weekly story and then everyone talk about it and then it's forgotten. It needs to be stamped out now. We need to get rid of these dinosaurs who still think it's right in the world. We need to stop this.
And just for the record, like, when we say dinosaurs, we don't just mean old stubborn people who are refusing to accept it. We're talking about anyone of any age,
Absolutely.
any gender, who just doesn't understand. It's not. There's no room to not understand anymore. You're part of I do agree, and people can have their own beliefs. That's fine. But I do believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, but if you are not understanding or not willing to understand, you are part of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be going onto Twitter. I don't want to see Raheem Sterling. I know, but he is very much a good mouthpiece for young black players. But you know what? Any young player, to be honest, he's a really good. But I hate going onto his Twitter and seeing all these horrid comments underneath his tweets. And I can't believe. I just don't know what goes through. Like, this is a guy who you go and support every 2 summers. Someone who we rely on every 2 summers to put in a good performance, and then you go and call him all these names, and he comes. I don't know. I'm not going to name a team, but he comes to your local stadium and you're racially abusing him, or you're well, even worse, if you're racially abusing him. Do you know what I mean? Where he can't react, he can't do anything.
No.
I mean, don't do it anyway. But I mean, you wouldn't go and say it to his face.
And and with the football, I think, to be honest, where do you remember when we went back to the Bulgaria game? Yeah. And there was all these racist. For me, that night, England should have walked off.
They actually, funny you say that, they had Gareth Southgate on Sky Sports this morning, and I don't think. Again, he said, like, this had never happened before, and I don't think enough was done. I thought this wasn't like one person in the crowd making a racist gesture. This was, again, it wasn't the whole crowd. It wasn't the majority. It was definitely the minority. But this was like 20, 30, 40% of a crowd, like Nazi saluting. And I mean, yeah, we're not a perfect country, but
there needs to be statements done. It needs to be bigger statements. Like when I said I think England should have walked off, because you need to make it a spectacle on the big scene of what is actually happening. Because you've seen with smaller games, there has actually been smaller games where it's been called off due to things happening, racist slurs in the crowd. And there's been smaller games that have been called off. That night, in my opinion, England should have walked off, because it happened twice, and it did happen again a third time. Like, there's no doubting that. And
no, not at all.
I think they were so like, do you know what? We just want to go out and get the 3 points. We want to go out there and batter them. Really, that's what they wanted to do. But to make a statement, England should have walked off that night, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think everyone sitting at home, well, I don't want to say everyone, but a lot of people agree with you. And you got to give credit though. I mean, it might have been a bit too late, but to
Oh
the
gosh, really?
Bulgarian FA who sacked their president, who was I just he was a nasty piece of work. Their Bulgarian Prime Minister, oh sorry, president of the FA, Bulgarian FA.
Mm.
But they're taking, from what I saw, I don't know how far it's gone now, but they were taking steps to making it better, to making it a more accepting football culture. Obviously, that doesn't happen in 6 months. That doesn't happen in a year. But the fact they took these steps, like they stood up against their really not a nice guy, the president of the Bulgarian FA, got rid of him. Like I think there was even an intervention from their government.
Mm.
So it must have been an eye opener to them. It must have been as well. I don't want to say as much of an eye opener because it's different, complete different scenario. But like the George Floyd to us, that England game to some of them might realise, like not to the same extent of someone lost their life and that is devastating, but to the point of God, we actually have a problem on our hands.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's
yeah,
yeah,
go on.
but we stand together, and I'm fully behind um, the movement that's going on, and I think this is the time now more than ever where we need to stop making it a story for a week and then it going away and then it coming back up again. It needs to, from now on, it needs to be stopped, and we need to do all the precautions to do that, in my opinion.
And like everyone listening to this, hopefully not just our parents, um, like it doesn't matter how old you are. Okay, maybe we've sworn already, so if you're under 18, shouldn't be listening to this. But doesn't matter what colour your skin, who you are, what you look like. We want you to come and have a laugh with us.
Mm.
And I think everyone needs to adopt that attitude. Doesn't stop looking at people's skin colour and just be nice to everyone, I should say.
Absolutely. You couldn't have put
And
it. You couldn't have put it better, Ollie. You couldn't have put it better.
you got to be good at something, haven't you? Anyway, let's move on to the main event.
I know. The
Well,
Premier League is back.
I can't believe it. Can you? Well,
Mate.
let's introduce ourselves first. They probably don't know who we are.
No, well, I'll go first. So, well, obviously, my name's David Summerfield. I am a working actor. For football related, for the people watching, I am I'm going to get lots of hate for this, maybe, but I am a Chelsea fan. I've supported Chelsea ever since I was young. And they're just I grew up watching Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba, John Terry, and the memories that I have of my club. You cut me open, I'm blue. Blue blood runs out. But that's a little bit about me. And Ollie, wouldn't you like to introduce yourself?
Well, unfortunately for you, this is what's so good. We have such different views on football, like from growing up. So I'm a Burnley fan, even though I don't sound like it, which everyone tells me at a Burnley game. Oh, you don't sound like you're from Burnley. I was like, that's because
Well,
I'm
no,
not.
we went to that game and we heard all the accents when we went to see Watford v Burnley, and we heard all their accents in the pubs. That's how we found the Burnley fans, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I've supported Burnley all my life. My dad's a Burnley fan. So actually, do you know what? I actually tell a lie because it's so complicated why we're Burnley fans that it's just easier to tell them that my great granddad was from Burnley, even though I never knew my great granddad.
Yeah.
So actually, just for the record, I don't think I told you this. My dad's favourite player growing up, like my dad was just like, when he was about 4 or 5, I think, he didn't really have a team. He just started watching football. And his favourite player, Leighton James, who, I mean, if you ever watch him on YouTube, incredible player, played for Burnley. So ever since then, since he was about 4 or 5 years old, 1969 or 7, I don't know when my dad was born. He supported Burnley, so that's why I have a southern accent, and so does he.
Yeah.
But you know, we've stuck through, and trust me, the hard times, beginning of my life, blimey, were there hard times. You ever think picking up a team because your dad in League One or
Yeah.
Division Two at that point, and the best thing going for you was an injured Paul Gascoigne, who only played about 4 games. But you know, if you cut me open, you'll probably see blood, but that's almost Burnley colour.
Yeah, literally. Well,
But
Phil, I'll ask you a little question, Ollie. I think whenever you always start supporting a team, but it's very, you fall in love quite quickly. But what was your moment that you were literally like, I fucking love this club?
Okay, that's quite a hard question actually. But I remember I was so young, but I went for about a couple of games seeing Burnley live, and I'd just not seen us score. I'd seen us get stuffed by everyone. Like I'd been, especially growing up in the south, so we went to QPR quite a few times, Crystal Palace. God, I went to Crystal Palace countless times, which was quite nice because my granddad on my mum's side's a Crystal Palace fan, so I know he's happy. At least I'm going to Selhurst Park, just maybe in the away end. And like we never played Tottenham at that point because we were tiny. Do you know what I mean? We never played these big clubs in London. And like the Wifteen, God, the Wifteen, what a stadium that was. But there was one game, and we played Crystal Palace. I couldn't give you a year. It must have been 2006, 2007, maybe a bit earlier. And I'd not seen Burnley even score a goal yet. I must have been to about 5 or 6 games, and I was just being disappointment after disappointment. And then out of nowhere, 1-0 in the first 30 seconds. And I think I could have probably cried actually that day. I couldn't tell you who scored, but I remember Danny Coyne making an absolute weldy of a save, and then falling over with the ball in his hands and handing it straight to I don't know why Cameron Jerome comes to head, but I don't think it was him. But at that moment, when Burnley scored that goal, I realised, and like everyone, I say everyone, there must be only about 400 Burnley fans. The 400 Burnley fans went nuts, and I realised this is the club for me. And I mean, I don't think I've never regretted. Do you know what I mean? Like some people are like, oh God, I'd hate to be an Ipswich fan. Just, do you know what I mean? Just nothing ever happened.
Yeah, exactly. I have to say, I think the moment where I was like, yes, this is my club, was Didier Drogba. No, Joe Cole versus Manchester United in 2000.
It's such a different answer.
I know, literally. It was Joe Cole, and he took the ball, and he against Man United to win us our second league title in a row, and he took the ball, and it was a dink, 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 and he was through, and he puts it in the top corner, and basically won us the title that day. And that was the moment for me where I was literally just like, I went mental. I was like, this is my club. And I mean, I love Joe Cole as well, and like an England player that you always used to love as well. But yeah, that was the moment for me that I was like, because I watched throughout 2004 a little bit because I was still getting into Chelsea at that point. Really, I've sort of flitted in and out really of football.
Yeah.
But I think that season was when I religiously just sat and watched football every Saturday with my old man. And but when Joe Cole put that into the back of the net, I was elated, and I was like, I think that's the first time I was like, this is what it feels to love a club. And for people that are watching this that aren't football fans, it's like falling in love. Like you do fall in love with your club, and there's nothing that can happen. This is why I feel so sorry for people like Bury fans.
Yeah.
Because like you can't change your club. You cannot, like, no matter what, like even when you go through the shit times, like you can't move clubs. You really can't, because you've literally, it's like a bond you've had, and you can't let. I think there's clubs that you have soft spots for, like I'm speaking on behalf of both of us here. I think we both have Brentford very close to our hearts because we would live so close to there for uni.
Yeah.
I have Wolves close to my heart because of my dad, and they're like your soft spot clubs. But you cannot swap your club. And for me, that Joe Cole moment was the moment for me where I was like, I'm a blue. I am 100% a blue.
Okay, so we now know when you started supporting Chelsea, when you got into football, but like if you had to narrow down, I'll give you 3 players. You have to narrow down the 3 players who are like, you'll look back and you'll tell your grandkids, and you'll be like, I can't believe these players played for us, but these were some of like the building blocks players to my Chelsea
Yeah.
like fandom. I don't know if fandom's the right word, but you know what I mean.
Well, the number one on that would be Didier Drogba. I mean, growing up watching him, he was just. Do you know what, Ollie? Like, you know what it's like to have a big, massive centre forward up front.
That's all we have, mate.
That guy gave. I will always love that guy because he gave me the most amazing moment I've ever experienced as a Chelsea fan, which is winning that Champions League. And he did that night. That header in the last minute to get us into extra time. There's no. I would even go as far as to say there is no other player in the world of football that could have headed that as good as he did. He's just.
It was almost written in the stars, wasn't it?
Oh my, Ollie! It was just. I mean, he was sent off in the 2008 final, which went to penalties, and obviously he probably would have taken John Terry's penalty that John Terry missed, and then it was like, yeah, it's got to happen. He does it. It's his last. Well, he did come back in the end, but at the time, it was what we thought was his last kick of a ball for Chelsea Football Club. But he was just watching him play, like, who idolised him. The one player I actually think, even more than Frank Lampard, I even say this, that I think he just went at times. He was like, "Give me the ball, and I am going to win us this game," and he did. So look at the cup finals he scored in. He was just probably our best big game player ever. Eden Hazard, I think Eden Hazard, watching him was just they're bigger legends than him at the club, but in terms of quality, I'd even say he surpassed Zola. I really would, because
he's unbelievable,
mate.
And do you know what? It's some games he would be absolutely brilliant, and then you just think he's not even at 100%.
I'll be honest with you, Ollie. I've said this for years, and I said this to you loads of times. Hazard wasn't even at the level he could go to for the whole time he was at Chelsea.
Like, I don't mean to say he's lazy, but he just didn't need to be. He just didn't need to put the effort in because he was that good.
And you can see that at Real Madrid, he's gone to them with the Chelsea level, and obviously he's not been as good. So he's gone there. He's like, right, I need to step it up a bit. And Hazard will one day, I think, win that Ballon d'Or, because he's an unbelievable player. But
the good thing is he does not at all rely on his pace. Like, no. He uses it, but when it goes, a bit like Messi. They're completely different players, but Messi does not need that pace at all. And Hazard, God, he just sees a nutmeg. Like, he can see it from a mile away.
He was the best player under pressure. If I was a manager, I would say to my defenders when they're playing up against him, I'd say give him space, because he was the one player that was, when he had players on him, he preferred that. Like, he was like, I can get you now. And I always remember being at a Man United game and he sold Smalling into space with just one touch, because he was just that good. So he's another one I'd tell. And I think, I mean, it sounds cliche to say Lampard, because obviously Lampard would be the guy I'd talk about. But I think in terms of what they did for my club, I think the one, apart from Lampard, Ashley Cole, I think probably Petr Cech, because he was
100%.
Because he was. We didn't appreciate how good he was. You know, I think that we've seen it at the moment at the club with Kepa. He's not that. I was saying this to a friend the other day. I said the reason why Kepa's not done as well as Chelsea is because even with Courtois, we've always had, and Kudicini before Cech, we've always had keepers that we were like, if it gets beyond our defence, which it very rarely did in the times, I felt so confident he was gonna bail us out. With Kepa, I don't have that, and that is why I think, you're gonna hate me for saying this, but this is why I really want us to go and get Nick Pope, because Nick Pope he'd be exceptional for us, because he's our type of keeper. He's tall, he's lanky, he's got fantastic presence. He's nothing sexy, but he just does the basics right.
He does the job. He does what's on the contract, doesn't he?
And that's why I love Nick Pope, because there's so many keepers out there that bail themselves out and almost heighten their ability because they make a simple save. You know, they're flinging their arms everywhere and tipping it around the post, when actually Nick Pope probably makes, and I even include Kasper Schmeichel in this as well, like they actually make they don't just make flying saves. They're like, well, if I can hold the ball, I'll hold the ball. I'm not going to make myself look good and just go, oh look, I've tipped it round the post. Whereas
I
keepers
tell you
like
what, we were
Pickford do that.
so lucky because we went from Heaton, Tom Heaton, man, I've never seen someone control a box like so well. Unbelievable. The fact we got him on a free transfer and he couldn't even make the Bristol City or Cardiff team. Just
Oh mate,
bizarre to me. And then we thought he was good. And Nick Pope, I mean, I'm heartbroken. Tom Heaton left. I'll always be heartbroken because he is. It wouldn't surprise me if there was something named after him because he's up there with Deitch as like the most important people in the club. But Nick Pope, something else.
I still think Nick Pope's got a lot more to go in him. I still think he's got another level to go to as a goalkeeper. I think
To be top of the clean sheet record and being the Burnley goal when you're just going to come up against a million times more shots, I just think it's just so bizarre to me.
He should be England's number one without a shadow of a doubt. If he was playing for Man United, mate, he'd be hailed as the new Schmeichel. But
he just knows how to make himself so big. I almost favour him in a one-on-one.
I agree with you, but this is what I mean. Like I'm saying, like he will actually, like if a shot's coming in, he will hold the ball, and that as keepers, that doesn't look particularly flattering, which is why you see so many keepers. I mean, I think it was Neil Sullivan, but don't quote me on that. But he was saying on a thing I was watching, he was saying the problem with keepers now is they're trying to be sexy, and a shot that they can easily hold, they're going and flinging it around the post or tipping it away just so they can get the crowd going, way, and people coming up to them, giving them high fives, patting them on the back and that kind of thing, and to get it on their show reel, if that makes sense, of the saves. Whereas someone like Nick Pope, Kasper Schmeichel, Peter Schmeichel, Petr Cech, David Seaman, they literally were like, my job is to keep the ball at the back of the net, into my chest, out we go with the play. And that is what makes a quality keeper. And
actually, we talk about, so people have learned, like goalkeepers have learned. Like I remember thinking that Ramsdale at Bournemouth was the biggest flapper. Like I thought he was as bad as Pickford, if not the next Pickford. And he came when we played Bournemouth a couple of months ago now. I know they let him 3 goals, but 2 of those goals were very dubious, and I'd be annoyed if they were given against us. But he was demanding, like we couldn't have a corner. We're so reliant on corners, but we couldn't have a corner because he was so strong in the air. So I don't know who's told him. I don't know if someone's told him that start playing for the team, not for yourself. Because he's turned. I think he should be up there. Watching him play the last few weeks. I keep saying weeks, but the last few game weeks.
Yeah, I think I think the problem with the goalkeeper is the hardest. I've always said this: goalkeeper is the hardest position on the pitch because you see so many defenders, midfielders, strikers. Strikers can miss 4 or 5 chances and they put the ball in the back of the net and they're loved. Midfielders can misplace so many passes. Defenders can miss so many tackles. If a goalkeeper drops the ball, that's what's talked about, and it's the hardest position. And even though I'm not the biggest fan of Pickford, what he came out and actually said about being England's number one, he says England's number one's, I can't remember the word for word what it was, but he was basically saying how when you're England's number one, everyone wants you out. Would you agree with that?
I think he's also trying to count his chickens almost as well. I do agree, but we've had so many all right England goalkeepers. Like, I mean, Joe Hart, I love him or hate him. I mean, I hate him at the moment, but a couple of 5 to 8 years ago, he was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I think he was a quality keeper.
But besides that, since like Seaman, I might be missing another goalkeeper, but we haven't had a solid pair of hands. Sorry, besides Joe Hart, but obviously that changed very dramatically, as I found out. But we just had like Kirkland, Carson, Robinson.
Rob Green.
That was it. I kept trying to think of him. I couldn't think of what his name was. We've had all these keepers. Butland. Oh my word. Actually, talking of like pit goalkeepers changing, he's gone the opposite. He used to be so strong and so demanding in the box, but now he's just so weak.
He had that big injury, didn't he, when he was on England duty? I think that's probably what halted him back because
Mate, I don't know if you've watched him in the Championship. He's embarrassing. He's been dropped for a bloody Adam Federici.
Well, I think, to be honest, it's a confidence thing, isn't it, with a keeper? If you don't have the confidence, you get thrown out. But the Premier League is back, and speaking about it now, I'm actually really excited. I mean, I have my opinion on it, but has your opinion changed about the Premier League coming back as the weeks have gone on, or how do you feel about it coming back now?
First things first. I've been deprived of Ashley Barnes for far too long now. Do you know what? I miss him so much, and I've never even met him. But you know, it's such a tough question because at first, when they first said it was coming back, and we were like seeing almost 1,000 deaths a day, maybe not a day, but like thousands of deaths a week. I was like, God, this can't go on. I was like, we're just going to have to support German teams for the rest of our lives. Yeah. I was really worried. I didn't want, and I think I kept saying to you and loads of other people, it's not so much the players I'm worried about. It's the staff, it's the coach drivers, it's their wives, it's their husbands, it's their kids. It's just scared me. But as it's gone on, you know, I'm feeling more confident. I mean, I can go and get a Starbucks. I can't get on the train unless I have a medical issue, but I can, do you know what I mean? I can go out with a mask on, do some normal things, I suppose. And I mean, we've seen the death rates go down quite dramatically the last few days.
Yeah.
And the lower it gets, the more confident I feel, the closer it gets. I think the way it's been done hasn't been very good. I can't believe we have different outcomes for every single league at this point.
Yeah, I think that's the hard thing, really, because it's meant to be equality for all, and yet it's almost like, because there's so much more money in the Premier League, they're like, we have to get that back. Whereas like they're like non-league, League One, League Two, they're like, because even the Championship, they get a lot of money through the Championship football because there's more of it. Like every week there's Tuesday, Wednesday games as well as weekends, and that's what makes it a brand as well. And when you look at the teams that are in the Championship, there's so many big teams in the Championship that obviously aren't in the Premier League. Like you've got, love them or hate them, you have Fulham, Leeds, Middlesbrough. I mean,
Derby, Wednesday.
Big clubs.
And more.
I like, that's the thing. And you've got big clubs that have huge followings. So the Championship has to go. Whereas you look at League One, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Well, you say that, but I mean, you've got Portsmouth, Sunderland, Coventry. Yeah. Well, not Coventry anymore though. They've gone up. There are more. I mean, you look. Funny enough, I was saying to my dad the other day. I was saying it's just a matter of time before there's money in League One, and then it's just a matter of time before there's money in League Two, and then it's just going to be a follow-on effect.
Yeah, I think with it coming back, I was a bit like, I was thinking in the moment, not when they were planning it, and I think I fell into that trap of going when they were like, right, we're going to bring the Premier back in mid-June. When they first announced it, we were still getting a lot of deaths a day, and I was a bit like, no, you can't have it back. But then obviously they were looking at it like going, look, in a few weeks' time, we're hoping it's going to be better. And at the moment, it is, fingers crossed, looking a little bit better for it to come back. But it's going to be difficult because it's going to have such a huge effect, because are Sheffield United going to come back and be the same team? I'm still not quite sure.
The thing that worries me, and I know for a fact it'll be worrying some Sheffield United fans, I can imagine probably Norwich as well. I know it's a different scenario, but we don't have, like, they're talking in Germany, they're calling it the potluck of injuries. If we get an injury, we don't necessarily have another first team player to replace that player. I can imagine City are going to play. So City play Arsenal, and then they play us about 4 or 5 days later,
Yeah.
and they're going to play two different teams, and
Well,
they will
because
probably
you've got the
get.
5 subs as well now.
Sorry, go on.
Because you've got the 5 subs now as
Yeah.
well, haven't you?
And they're probably still going to get 6 points from that, or at least 4 points. I don't know. Maybe we'll beat them. Who knows? But 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 we've got to play Palace. Oh, sorry, I don't know where Palace has come from. We've got to play City, and then I think we play Palace. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think it is Palace, but we play someone. We play someone else. We don't have a second team. I don't know if you watched our silly cup losses to like Sunderland this season and to Norwich. We're like playing half our first team still. Like we don't have any depth, and we have bloody Danny Drinkwater, who's like biggest waste of space ever. But do you know what I mean? And I mean we would have won both those games if we didn't have bloody Joe Hart in goal. But do you know what I mean? I'm worried. If some Chris Wood gets injured, we're screwed.
Well, the problem is the fitness of these players, because it's all well and good giving them, like saying, oh, they've just been sitting around doing nothing. And yes, they should be keeping themselves fit at home. I would agree with that point.
I'm glad to see, there were some pictures from our training today. Our players look better than they did about 3 months ago. I'd never seen Ashley Barnes so muscled, like properly muscled up.
Well, yeah, I think to be honest, because they've been keeping themselves. This is where you will see which clubs have actually been keeping themselves the best, who's been taking it seriously. Because I can only speak on behalf of my club, because I follow them on Instagram. I follow the club, and you see things that clubs have been putting on, and actually, our players are looking sharp. I have to be honest, like Giroud, like you talk about Ashley Barnes coming back. I've never seen Giroud look so fast in his life.
But
he was
it's
playing
quite
a game.
telling. It's quite telling seeing which managers have been on like doing the news rounds the most, because they're not going to go on and do like Soccer AM and then Sky Sports News and then BBC News if they didn't think it was going well, would they?
No, exactly. That's the thing, and but yeah, I mean, it'll be an interesting thing, and I think there's going to be lots of twists and turns, and the no fans is the biggest thing for me. I think you are nothing without the fans, and now it's actually going to be. I think this is going to be huge for football fans, because when it comes to a time when football fans are allowed back, I think clubs are now going to appreciate their fans a lot more, because you can watch German football, and if we're being honest, some teams have turned up, but you look at Schalke, have they been as good as they have been?
You say that, but they were pretty dire before the lockdown.
Well, Leipzig.
What about them?
Well, Leipzig haven't been pulling up many trees since they came back.
You say that. Look how many draws they had before. Sorry, I've literally got nothing better to do than look at German football. So they were picking up draws before. Like they like 2-0 up against someone and drew 2-2, and then they came into this, and I thought actually they started really well, but it's just they got that draw against Freiburg, and then from there they picked up really well.
The first, I think, to be honest as well, it's going to be a lot of adaptation for these players. It's going to be a lot, because obviously the whole fact of coming back, I think you've got the fear that it's out there still, and that will be playing in the back of their minds. They're human beings like the rest of us. They've got that. There'll be the no fans effect, and you know as well as I do that fans can change a game. You can have no shots for 80 minutes. And you're 1-0 down. You have a shot in the 80th minute, and you've been poor the whole game, and the fans go, "Yes, come on!"
Right, the biggest scenario,
right?
Burnley, Bournemouth, December last year. Oh my God, no shots on target the whole game. Bournemouth fans had turned on their players completely, and actually they turned on the ref, to be honest. And the Burnley fans still giving it large. 89th minute, Jay Rodriguez only shot on target the whole game.
Yeah.
Sends the Burnley fans nuts. And that's the thing. You talk about. I think Burnley are going to have the opposite problem. You're talking about clubs going to appreciate their players more. Their fans more. I think the players are going to miss it doesn't matter how bad Burnley could play.
Mm.
The
fans
fans
will love
love those players, and they're gonna. You saw it after that. We played rubbish again. I took you along to the Brighton game was it September, August? I can't remember. And we played rubbish that whole game. Besides a bit of magic at the end, God knows how that happened. And there was just huge admiration for that team at full time. And like we just drew with Brighton. We hadn't drawn with like Man United or anyone. Beat Man United later in the season, but I think the players are going to really struggle. Our players especially, and Sheffield. I can imagine Sheffield United as well. Like not having those fans to go to at the end, and even if they've played badly, know that they're going to get a huge like clap and a huge cheer as they go off, because they are. You told your three Chelsea icons in like your life, like they're more than just a player for us. They are our heroes, and it's always been like that at Burnley. Like people like Robbie Blake, Glenn Little, Tom Heaton, Nick Pope, Michael Duff, Ashley Barnes. Like they all wear. There's always one or two players. Ben Mee, oh my word, like someone who wears
heart on the sleeve.
Yeah, they're no interest in Burnley before, but now they'll probably support Burnley for the rest of their lives. Do you know what I mean? It's a different club for a Premier League team. It's more like you expect that in League One or Two.
Who do you worry for that when coming back? Like, let's start with
not us. Hey,
let's start with the relegation. Who do you worry for now it's coming back?
I mean, I've always been sceptical of Aston Villa. I know they beat us this season, but I just don't think they're a complete team. And I mean, they were disjointed before the lockdown. What are they going to be like after lockdown? I mean, everyone fears for Norwich, don't they? Bournemouth, I mean, Eddie Howe's got some tricks in his sleeve. They've been especially bad this season. And maybe the Eddie Howe reign's coming to an end.
Yeah.
But, you know, if I see any team in the relegation zone at the moment pulling out of it, it's probably Bournemouth. Because a bit like Burnley, their fans I know their fans won't be there, but oh God, I don't know now. I think Bournemouth could just do it if any team could.
I think go.
I think West Ham, big trouble. You can see Karen Brady's shaking at the moment. I can imagine it. I mean,
that would be an absolute disaster if they went down. For that club, if they were to get relegated, that would be. I think you talk about big teams going down. For me, if West Ham went down with the amount of money that they've thrown effectively down the point.
And like, this is not even like the last 3 years. This is like the last 20 years as well.
They cannot get relegated, West Ham. They're a club that you're literally like. There are some clubs that go down and you go, well, it's going to hit them, but they'll be fine. West Ham could go the same route as Sunderland if they do go down. I genuinely believe that. And I think Villa and Norwich, are two that I'd probably go, I think are gone. But I
wouldn't say Villa yet. I think because there's news that John McGinn's back. I mean, huge, absolutely huge for them.
I just don't know where the goals are going to come from Aston Villa, if I'm being honest. I always say, you always look at the clubs that stay up. And I always say the reason those clubs stay up is because they've got a goal scorer that will keep them up. And like you'd even know this, like this season he's been a lot better consistently. But let's be honest, Chris Wood's seasons the last 2 years have only started in February.
Yeah. I used to say that all the time. I used to say it all the time to you. He would have one good game. He would have one good game at the beginning of the season, and then he might as well just go back to New Zealand until February. But I don't know what. Like he had a bit of a knock. He's had a few knocks this season, so I don't know if that's like urged him on more. But he's been. I would say he's probably been one of our best players this season. When he's good, he's fantastic.
He's a good player.
When he's bad, he is bad. But this season, I can't hand on heart say he's been bad at all. No. Even when we had our low points, he just knows how to pick the ball up. And I think I don't know what someone's obviously taught him something at Burnley. Because I never saw this coming. I always saw him as the tap-in striker.
Yeah.
But now he's scoring all sorts of goals.
I know. Well, I think West Ham are probably the ones I'd worry for. I think David Moyes, it's not inspiring. It's nothing major.
But on the other hand, I do think if anyone out of the managers that are out there at the top is going to secure them defensively, I mean, they're not going to score goals under Moyes, but he is defensively sound. So if he has worked on that in the last since they've been back in training, I mean, I'd hope they had, because they just couldn't keep a clean sheet for their lives.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think
another team I'd worry for is Brighton, not because of the quality of the team, but I look at the fixtures they've got left, and
you know what?
Actually, set of fixtures.
I can't understand. I can't get my head around Brighton because they play some of the best football in the Premier League. Almost, they just can't put the ball in the net. I've never seen.
Got a striker.
Well, they do, but they put them on the bench every week.
I know. And Mope's, we know as well as anyone how good that guy is. He's quality.
Do you know what? It annoys me because Graham Potter was so dismissive of Glenn Murray. I can't stand Glenn Murray, but he puts the ball in the net. You can't deny that. Don't matter how old you are, but he's just refusing. And I like Graham Potter a lot. I think he's got some talent. He just needs to learn a lot more. But he needs to take a bit of a Deitch pill and just say, doesn't matter how old they are. Look at bloody Phil Bardsley. I absolutely love him. He gets the job done. Doesn't do it wonderfully, but you know he's going to get the ball back if someone's on the attack on his wing.
Absolutely.
And you know, Glenn Murray, he's not going to track back and help you in the box, but he's going to go and put you in a goal in the 90th minute.
Well, yeah, that's what you want to strike for. Like I said this for years. I said like one of the best players I've ever seen. Well, not one of the best players, but someone that I always used to look and go, he'll score a goal with Nicolas Anelka. But he did nothing in terms of helping get him back. He did nothing. He just used to sit up there. But he puts the ball in the back of the net. And yes, that's a different level. But well, you could go back to Sunderland. Sunderland for years stayed up because of Jermaine Defoe's goals. Doesn't help out getting back. He just puts the ball in there, and that's the thing. That's the problem. I look at some of these teams like West Ham. There's not a striker that's going to put the ball in the back of the net consistently. It's all well good having Snodgrass and Anderson and all these players around them, but you're only as good as what you've got around you. And
West Ham also have that problem of their best players, or not their best players, but the players that turn up for them, they put on the bench. Like Snodgrass, the fans turned on him because he wasn't this big flashy player. He's just a get the job done player.
Yeah.
But yet, who comes on and scores that weldy free kick or miles out? And who's that striker who, he didn't cost them millions, didn't come from Colombian country, but they put him on the bench, Mikel Antonio. I don't get it.
I don't get why he doesn't play more. He's quality. I rate Antonio.
He knows what he's good at and he uses it. But you look at, I don't know who went and scouted this Haller. I don't know. The West Ham and Aston Villa transfer policies are: have they played at a World Cup? Yes. Have they played for a South American country? Yes. Have I seen them score one goal against a fourth team in Germany? Yes. Oh yeah, let's sign them. Worst one, that Carlos Sanchez, and he played for Villa and West Ham. Oh my God! And they just saw he had one good game against Panama in the World Cup. Oh, we got to sign him. He's quality. It's
a lot of FIFA buying, isn't it? With them, it's a lot of we'll just buy someone because he's all right looking. But
they had a good World Cup. They made a name for themselves.
The thing is,
for 50 million.
The best team in the league for buying players, in my opinion, is Wolves, because they've got a lot of money to spend, but they didn't do what a lot of clubs that would have this rich influx of money.
What we're going to see Newcastle do. It's bound to happen with Newcastle.
Exactly. Because you look at Wolves, they didn't go, oh, we've got this money, let's go and buy this Premier League reject now for a lot of money. They went and bought Ruben Neves, who was only 19, 20 at the time. And mate, he's staying at Wolves for the time being, but mate, that guy will play in midfield for one of the top clubs in world football. He's unbelievable.
But the thing that's annoying was, so obviously Man City, one of the original billionaire clubs, they started spending horrendously, like, and ridiculous play, like quite funny now we look back at it, but at the time it probably wasn't funny for them. Then I don't know what clicked. They just had the best scouting ever. Like they would be buying this player for 10 million, and he's going to be rubbish. Why are we playing this defensive midfielder called Company? Oh wait, Company, one of the best defenders in Premier League history.
I know.
There's this midfielder I've never heard of before, Fernandinho. Oh, one of the best midfielders in Premier League. Well, like, you know what I mean, give or take.
I think he's bad boy.
But another one. Oh, this player was rubbish at Barcelona. Yaya Toure. Oh, possibly up there with the best midfielders of all time now.
I'd say that, yeah, 100%.
But then and then it's all changed again. Now City, like instead of buying, I mean, whoever thinks Gabriel Jesus is the next Aguero is wrong. Whoever signed Benjamin Mendy needs to be.
Well, I think Mendy's got ability, but he's not got the right attitude, and he's in.
Mate, he should be in, like, if there was ever a competition for whoever could kick the ball the hardest, he would win it every time. It'd be him and Kolarov. But another one, Kolarov out of nowhere. What a signing that was.
I know.
But now it's just not that at all for City. It's like, and I think I'm with you with Wolves. You know, I have my own thoughts on Wolves and their money, but they've spent a lot. That you can't get away from that, but it's paying off.
They spent it wisely. They went and got a few old timers like Patricio and Moutinho, but you look at Moutinho has developed that midfield. Patricio makes the defence look more organised because he's an experienced keeper, and having Connor Cody, Willy Bolly, and Doherty and all those kind of players, it's more helpful for them because they've got a commanding presence who's going, you do that. Because I'll sit here and say this. Petr Cech made defenders like Ricardo Carvalho and Alex and all that much better players because of who he was. He was the one that was telling them what to do and not to do that. And that is why when you've got a shaky keeper, your defence isn't up there, and you can see that with Burnley. Burnley are one of the strongest. You're not one of the most flattering clubs, but defensively, when you're playing Burnley, you've got to work your absolute hardest to break them down.
And that's where it went all wrong last season. When whatever, do you know what? Joe Hart in Europa League. Well, Europa League qualification, phenomenal. Joe Hart in the Premier League. Good shot stopper, but blimey, he was taking on about 50 shots a game because he just put you're talking about Ben Mee and James Tarkowski, two of the definition of the word solid. I don't think there's many teams that wouldn't have one of them. Actually,
I agree.
I'm not saying they walk into any team, like they wouldn't walk into the Liverpool team, but what Joe Gomez gets injured. Oh, what would you rather bring on, Lovren or James Tarkowski? Do you know what I mean?
I think Tarkowski's a wicked player.
But Joe Hart made them look like shaky messes. Put Tom Heaton back in goal. Oh my God, it was like watching, I don't know, Cannavaro again.
Yeah, and then you got Nick Pope who's doing the same thing, and it goes back to the point we were saying earlier about the goalkeepers. But your goalkeeper is so important, and that's. I think what Wolves have done well, they've invested in the right positions, and I think Wolves one day when Patricio comes to the end, they'll go and invest in a good goalkeeper, because if they go the way that they're going, they could be a Champions League club. I think there's no denying that. I think, are they better than Arsenal? Yeah, I would say so.
I'd put us better at Arsenal at the moment.
Are they better than Man United? I think Man United are making improvements, but I'd probably put Wolves on a level. I think
they're going to do what City done. They're going to play a few seasons in the Europa League, attract a few more high top quality players, unless the owners lose interest, which I can't see, to be honest. And then eventually, I mean, it could be Chelsea, could be Liverpool, could be City. One team will take a step back, a bit like Arsenal have. Chelsea have done it in the past. Man United, Liverpool did it for 10 years. And then Wolves, and then probably we'll be sitting here on episode 700 of this podcast in 10 years' time and be like, I don't remember Wolves not being in Europe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Like
true.
Wolves being in the
It's
top
true.
four will just feel like normal. I feel like I
Oh,
can't see it happening with Leicester because Leicester just don't have the funds.
I'm
Their
not
money.
sure. I think Leicester are going all right. I think they're doing all right. I
I
think
mean,
they've
no,
got it
I mean
right.
I can see them. I think obviously they're going to be in the Champions League next season, but I think their fans are quite. Don't start attacking me. I think their fans sometimes think they're bigger than they are. But I don't think the club feels that they are. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I think realistically, Leicester will be looking in the future at like seventh or eighth, ninths. But whereas because they don't have the funding Wolves do.
Oh
Um,
well, I don't know. I think they're better positioned than they were. But yeah, I know what you
oh
mean.
no, undoubtedly. But I
Okay,
suppose I
look,
guess we'll see.
well, that's the question I want to ask you. How do you feel like in terms of Burnley going back? As a Burnley fan, how do you feel about going back, and what do you think Burnley need to do as a club to finish the season strongly?
Um, well, I mean, we almost had like our defining period, like bit of the season a couple of months ago, just before the lockdown. We we were fantastic. Like we were playing the best football I think I'd ever seen us play in the Premier League. Um, a lot of the problem at the beginning, like I said, as long as you give 100% in when you're wearing a Burnley shirt, the fans will call you gods. Do you know what I mean? You'll be loved. You'll be loved. Um, but we were seeing a handful of players, and I mean a handful. And I'm not going to name and shame Matt Lowton, um, Jeff Hendrick, another one. And I hate saying this because like these people that I do love, like these players I do love, um, especially Lowton. Lowton's been with the club for ages now, but they just weren't putting in 100% in like
Hmm.
November, December, early January. And the fans were starting to turn on these players because it was so obvious. And when one player doesn't turn up for Burnley, we're left so open because that's just how we run. Like, it's quite scary how open we can be, but it shows you how focused Deitch is.
Mm.
Um, but come January, that was all sorted. I hate to say I don't like picking on players too much, but Lowton came out the team and Bardsley came in, which I mean I've been calling for that all season. You know how much I love Phil Bardsley. Like he's so underrated. I can't believe Stoke let him go, and they wonder why they got relegated. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need your strong player, and like he obviously loved Stoke. He was there forever. I don't think he loved it because the city was nice. I don't know. Actually, I've never been to Stoke, but um, I don't know. At this point, just not to get humiliated and not to, because there is a chance our players will struggle with the no crowd,
Yeah.
not having like vocal Burnley. I know people try and take the piss out of our support, but we have those loyal supporters who will go and sing with alongside Burnley for 90 minutes.
Not that we're the
Um,
offside, Burnley.
but I don't know, top half finish. I mean, God, the fact a good season for me is a top half finish. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, man.
That's mad for me to say. Like going back to what we were talking about at the beginning, I grew up watching us finish 15th constantly in the championship. Um, didn't have much joy for many years, and now I'm finding mid-table Premier League questionable.
Oh, it's
Uh,
amazing what you've done as a club. Like when you look at the size of Burnley, it's incredible that you've just got a club that's sustained in the Premier League.
and
Oh,
it's amazing that you, our club values, like the core values of the club, are still there.
mm,
Like we haven't sold out. I think I don't feel much different. Like the only difference from me going to watch us against Charlton, like 10, well, more than 10, 15, almost 20 years ago now, to us going, well, let's say Palace, going to watch us against Palace. At this point at Selhurst Park, you didn't have the loud drums, you didn't have the really weird chants that they do there. The ground would be half full. Burnley would only bring about 400-500 fans. But sitting in the Selhurst Park, and I know the away end in Selhurst Park has moved like up the other end of the stand, but it doesn't feel any different. Besides the quality of football is unbelievably different. Um, the it's hard to say the atmosphere is different because the Championship atmosphere is just something completely different. And like, I mean, unless you witness your team in the Championship, it's hard to explain. But I still feel like I'm going to watch this community club that no one's ever really like. Not many people have actually even heard of. But actually, realistically, we're such a like people know us worldwide now. That's weird. That's weird for me. We're not little old. Well, we are still little old Burnley, but
little
we're
old
little old
Burnley.
Burnley in bloody Brazil.
I
Do you know
know.
what I mean? Someone in like there's this artist in Russia who keeps doing like these massive graffiti. I think I sent one to you of like Ashley Barnes and Sean Dyche. I'm like, go and support Moscow. What are you supporting us for? And I was like, oh, because we're in the biggest league in the world.
It's
And
amazing.
I remember I used to wind my one of my good mates, Matt from school. I used to wind him up because he's a Sunderland fan, and we always used to finish above Sunderland. Besides the seasons we got relegated, obviously. And like halfway through one of the seasons in the Premier League, we were rubbish, but we were like ninth in the Premier League, and it was like the third week of the season. I said, Matt, we're the ninth best team in England. He was like, no, you're not. No, you're not. I was like, we're in the top league, playing the best league, and we're ninth in that league. And he gets so wound up. He's like, Burnley can't be the ninth best team in England.
Going back to what you just said there about like these fine fans in so many funny places. It's so strange when you do see that, because I can't believe I didn't tell you this the other day, but I was driving through an area near me. I think it was Storrington, and I saw a Brentford fan. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "What are you doing over here?" Like, obviously I didn't say that to him because I was in my car and he was walking along the street. But I was like, "That's mental." And I always go back to when I was at Panto over Christmas. And I have my Brentford shirt that I wear sometimes, and I was wearing it, and I was at a venue in Leeds, and one of the guys came up to me afterwards, and I was wearing a shirt, and he was like, "What the bloody?" Oh, I'm not going to pretend the accent, but he was like, "What the bloody hell are you doing up here?" and that thing, and I was like, "Oh, well, yeah, I used to live up there," and he was like, "I never thought I'd ever see a Brentford fan up here in Leeds." I didn't, because I know that Leeds and Chelsea have a huge rivalry, so I sort of had to go along with the fact that I was a Brentford fan, because I thought I'd get beaten up, and then turned around and said, "Well, I'm actually."
Actually, funny enough, I was I must have been driving through town the other day, and I live, no secret, I live in Hastings, the wonderful footballing town of Hastings, and I just saw this like 9-year-old kid wearing a Wigan shirt. I was like, okay, one thing supporting Burnley and living in Hastings, but Wigan. Do you know what? I don't think it's legal for Wigan fans to leave Wigan. I've never seen, besides. No, I don't. Do you know what? I don't think I've ever seen a Wigan fan. Ever.
Oh dear.
But now I have. I was almost questioned if he was okay, if he needed help.
He got lost. Hastings, help.
Maybe his parents hated him, bought him a Wigan shirt. I wanted a West Brom one, not Wigan. Oh, again, West Brom, questionable choice.
Oh dear. But that is good. It's fantastic. I think now it's coming back, I'm actually feeling a bit more excited. I can't wait. You do miss it, and I can't wait to get to watch my boys come back onto that pitch in blue. And well, I might be saying something different if we lose to Aston Villa on our first game, but
I just, do you know what, I struggle. Like, I tell you how much I miss Tom Heaton. That's how much these players mean to us. It's crazy. Like, I spend ridiculous amounts of money every year to like have bits of Burnley merchandise and like have like players like Tarkowski on the back of my shirt. I've got bloody calendar with I stare at Phil Bardsley every morning at the moment. I mean, that's the dream. Like, even to the point, my bloody Amazon Alexa thing, which just heard me, and it's going to go off in a minute. I've got that picture of Ashley Barnes kissing Joe Bennett last season. That's how crazy it is. Like, I can't go a day, like especially during lockdown, where I'm like with my dad like every day. We don't go a day where we don't talk about football. Like, especially we don't talk about. I can't remember the last time Ashley Barnes wasn't mentioned in this house.
Yeah, it is a weird life where you're not having. Do you know it? Because it's always the opening thing when you do it in the morning. You wake up, you look at your phone. It's usually your messages, then your emails, and even though like if you open Sky Sports, you always open Sky Sports in the morning to see, even if nothing's happened, you always open it up. I mean, deadline day, I'm awful on my phone. Like I'll be looking at Sky Sports on my phone, turn it off, and literally unlock it straight away and open up Sky Sports again. And like, I've literally just turned off my phone to open it up and look at the same thing I was just then. Nothing's happened, but literally, I've missed it so much, and I cannot wait to watch it again. But just if we can just keep, as long as it's safe and it's in the right circumstances and everyone does the right precautions, then I think it can work. But we'll see, won't we, mate? It's unreal.
We just got to see. Right, I got one more question, and we'll call it a day. So the season, let's just pretend the season happens, finishes. You've got the transfer window opens as normal. Well, I say as normal, but at the end of the season, you have to get rid of 4 Chelsea players who have played. I mean, like fair, like played not constantly, but you know what I mean, like in the match day squads.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know who probably 3 out of the 4 are going to be, but you got to get 4 in. But reasonable. It's got to be reasonable. But I think I know who 3 of the 4 in who are going to be.
I'll get rid first. Kepa, I think he's a
liability, isn't he?
I think in a different league, he's a good keeper. I think over in Spain and maybe Italy, where it's not as physical, I think he's a good keeper. But over here, he's not. And as we've talked a lot about goalkeepers today, but it's as I said, with Chelsea, we were so used to having confident, powering keepers. He's not that. So I think we're never going to get any near the amount of money that we paid for him. But I think as one, we're just going to have to go look at losses, and we'll go with what we can get for him. I still think we can get a big chunk of money from him from a club abroad. But yeah, Kepa for me. I would have said Alonso, but I'd get rid of Emerson. I think Alonso's quite happy to be back up.
It's a shame for Emerson because at points last season, especially, he looked like he had something.
Yeah, he's all right, but I'd rather keep Alonso. I think Alonso.
That's the thing. I could see him being in an all right team like Valencia. Like he's got Valencia written all over him. Or like
yeah. I think that could be his next club. He's literally one of those players, but not good enough to play for Chelsea full time.
Not this. What could be a new look Chelsea this time next year.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Alonso's heart's more in Chelsea, so I'd rather keep Alonso as a backup and bring in another one. But Emerson, I'd probably go. Zuma can go.
Oh, trash, mate.
Absolutely. Well, I think he had a big injury against Man United that year, and that really knocked him. Because before that, I'll be honest with you, mate, watching him he was really, really good. And I was sitting there saying, because there was a time we were linked with John Stones. And I was sitting there going, John Stones and Zuma for the future. I was like, that would be a solid partnership. And how wrong was I then? But but I do think if he hadn't have had that injury, I think it might have been a different story. But I think that probably hampered him a bit, but not Chelsea quality. So I'd probably...
I'm with you on that.
I'd get rid of him. And Batshuayi, rubbish. Hopeless. I've never seen a striker that has literally worse movement. Honestly, like even Morata had better movement. Batshuayi just doesn't move. He does. He makes it look like he's moving, but he hides behind the defenders so he doesn't get the through ball. And it's so irritating to watch. Like you sit there and go, make a move, but he does it in a way where he's like, well, I have made a move, but no one's passed to me. And
yeah, he's a one-trick pony.
He's all good. It's all well and good when you're there in a 6-yard box and it's a cutback. But
again, I hate to say it, but he's a Villarreal player. He's going to go somewhere like that. He'll score 7 goals a season.
Yeah,
They won't
it.
love him, they won't hate him, and then we'll never think about him ever again. Well,
Well,
I
that
mean,
is,
you will because he won you the league one year, but you know
oh,
what I
mate.
mean.
Yeah, oh, mate. Oh, but they'd be the fall. We need more. I think as much. I think he's improved this year. I think Jorginho out the door. I
Oh,
think.
really?
Yeah. Well, I look at the quality. I think, to be honest, you look at. I think Billy Gilmore. I like him. I like the look of him. I think lockdown happened at the worst possible time for him because he was starting to look good. I think when you look at the players we're looking to bring in, I think you've got Kovacic, Kante, Loftus
That's true.
Cheek,
You made a
Loftus
good
Cheek,
point, actually.
Loftus Cheek's floating about as well. There's some other little guys that we've got floating around. So I think to get him off the wage bill and I think Kovacic is more mobile than Jorginho, and Jorginho
Oh,
just.
Kovacic has decided he does know how to play football.
I know it's
Uh,
unbelievable. He's been our player of the year, mate. But yeah,
He'd get in my team of the season. Oh, wow. It'll
I'd
be
actually,
close.
I'd probably wouldn't disagree with that. But yeah,
I
there's
mean, at
a
this
few.
point, I think I've put everyone in my team of the season, but you know.
But there's a few that we need to choose out, but they'd probably be the front four for me. 100%. The people will be surprised at who my top target is, but my top target is Nick Pope. I said at the start, we need a keeper that's got a big presence, who can come and command a back four, a very inexperienced young back four. You really look at Reece James coming in, someone that can. And I know Nick Pope's only been in the limelight a couple of years, but he knows how to handle himself. And Nick, if I was the Chelsea manager right now, or Chelsea's head scout, I'd be going to Frank Lampard and saying the number one person you need to get is Nick Pope.
I think the only thing, I don't, obviously I'm going to agree because I think he's the best keeper in the league. But the only thing that stops that is I've told you a million times, I think Dean Henderson's good, but I think when you put him in that Man United goal, it's going to show how much of a flapper he is. Because I've said to you a few times, he is a flapper. There's no getting around it. It's not stopping him being a good keeper, but he flaps big time. And I think Nick Pope realises, put him in the Burnley goal, he knows the fans are behind him. The defence is solid. There's no way, I can't believe Pickford's going to be in England's goal much longer. Henderson, I hope I'm wrong because I really like Dean Henderson, but I think he's going to flap in that United goal next season.
Yeah,
and I think Nick Pope's seeing, I'm just going to keep myself where I am. I mean, the one team I want him to go to is Chelsea because I know you appreciate him as much as I do. But that's literally only because you support Chelsea. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if teams come in around the world come in for him because he's not he's phenomenal.
He's a quality keeper. But yeah, Nick Pope would be my number target. We definitely need a left back. I'm actually going to do this on what we need, not necessarily quality. So like one person that I'm not going to put in my list, but I'd be so happy if we got him is Kai Havertz. I'd be love to get him, but he's not what I'd say is an essential. We've got a lot of positions in our team that are essential. Left back, it looks like we're going to go in for Ben Chilwell, but I was speaking to a Leicester fan when I was up north for Panto, and I was like, oh, well, at the end of the season.
Well, can I tell you my bit before you say what he said? I think Chilwell is so good going forwards, but he just doesn't trap back at all. He's Matt Lowton in disguise. He just can't trap back, and he lets people just destroy him almost.
Well, I'd agree with you. And this guy, I was like, oh, you're going to lose Indeed at some point. I was like, Indeed, he's not going to stay at Leicester his whole career. He's too good. I was like, Indeed, he'll probably go. And I was like, you've got some quality players in there that might head off across the seas and that kind of thing. And he was saying with Chilwell, he was like, he said, honestly, if someone came in for Chilwell, I'm not actually that bothered. Because he's like, if someone came to us and said, here's 50 million for Ben Chilwell, he's like, I'd snap your hand off for it. And he said, it's not that he doesn't not like Ben Chilwell, but he's just like, he's a basic player. He's not as good as the hype that is around him.
But I think that almost plays into the Chelsea thing because Chelsea have always had very attacking wing backs.
Yeah.
And if
I'd personally look at Chilwell. I mean, my dream one would be Hakimi. I'd love to get Hakimi.
It's just not going to happen, though, is it?
It's not going to happen. He'll go Real Madrid because, I mean, I've said this to you for years. I think Carvajal's average. I think he just looks better because he's playing for Real Madrid.
He's so arrogant as well. He thinks he's so good.
I know, and I'm literally like, for years I've said this. I'm like, what is actually so good about? I mean, I play FIFA against you. When I'm Real Madrid, I used to put Lucas Vazquez at right back because I couldn't bear myself to put Carvajal in. But Hakimi, I mean, there's no way Real Madrid are going to sell him after the season.
The other one, and I think you'll disagree with me. I can't remember if we ever spoke about this player. It's Cohen Trowell. I never saw it. I never saw why people raved about him so much.
And I think that's probably a similar thing to Carvajal. But I mean, Hakimi would be the dream. But yeah, you're talking a lot of money if you're going to go and get him. And I think if you can get Chilwell for, I'd probably say even half the price, I'd probably go for him. So yeah, I'd go Chilwell. We need a centre forward, mate. We haven't had a good centre forward since Costa. So Werner, I mean, honestly, Ollie, when I saw Timo Werner was linked with Chelsea, I almost I was literally like, oh my days, Timo Werner. And I was like, I've got so excited about that. So, if we could get Werner, mate, unbelievable. So yeah, Werner would be number 3, and we need a centre half, mate. We really do. I like Rudiger. I like Tomori. Christensen he's all right.
Do you know what annoys me about the 3 people you named? Is that Tomori and Rudiger, they're missing what Christensen has, and Christensen's missing what Rudiger and Tomori had. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I would completely agree with you on that. I think Tomori's going to be a wicked player. I think if we can just keep developing him.
He still looks quite weak, but I mean, he's so young still.
So yeah, I think he needs a year. I mean, as I said, I am doing this realistically. The dream, obviously, at centre half would be Upamecano, but that's not going to happen.
No.
I'd go for, and this is what I was saying to my mate the other day, and he was sitting there going, "Oh, it's all right." But the guy I would go for at the moment is Jonathan Tah.
It's hard because I don't know if he's ready. I don't know. I don't know if he's proven himself yet.
I really like that Jonathan Tah. So,
I suppose you don't know unless you take a risk, do you?
Yeah, well, I think he'd be all right, and I think he'd come in, he'd be all right with Rudiger. I think Rudiger's a good defender. I think Rudiger's very underrated. I think it's not because he's not got a flashy name or he's not been as.
I think he's better. He's gotten better.
He's a good defender, Rudiger, and alongside someone else half decent, he's good. Like you put Rudiger next to a John Terry, prime John Terry, he'd look a wicked player.
It's a bit like the Van Dijk, Gomez, and Matip thing.
Oh, 100%.
He needs that Van Dijk, doesn't he?
So
Chelsea need that Van Dijk, I suppose.
Oh, we do. But yeah, I think the 4 essentials I've said there. I mean, if we got Kai Havertz, I'd run around the room naked screaming. But
it's not the end of the world, is it?
It's not one that we got Mount, Loftus-Cheek, who I think are good. Ziyech can play in that hole as well if he wants. So I think we need to sort out the more important. We don't want to do. I'm probably going to get attacked for this, but we cannot afford to do an Arsenal, which is where we go and buy. We can't afford to go and buy players that we're like, oh, they look good. We need to, and then leave the bare essentials for all to see. Like Nicolas Pepe, Arsenal fans still think he's had a good season, but Arsenal didn't need Nicolas Pepe this year. They needed a good defence, and they wasted £72 million on Nicolas Pepe when they really should have gone and spent 72 million and gone and got. I think they could have got Upamecano for 72 million at the start of the season, like a centre half that they needed. And
the other signing Arsenal made, which really made me laugh, was Kieran Tierney. I rate Kieran Tierney really highly, but you need to just strengthen up your defence. Why are you going for someone who has only ever known a team that doesn't need to ever defend? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Tierney is quality at going forward. He's quality at tracking back, but again, he only had to do it like 2 or 3 times a game.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And I'm not saying it's a bad signing at all. I think Tierney's quality, whatever team was going to get him, but you needed a more established defender, like centre back.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose we'll see.
So the four for me: Pope, Chilwell, Jonathan Tah, and who was the other one I said? Oh, Werner. Werner, 100%. So yeah, they'd be the four essentials that we need. And if we get a Kai Havertz sneak in, I'd be over the moon. But I think what the good thing about what Chelsea are doing is that we're showing intent. Because another thing I was saying to a mate of mine, the last few years since Conte had that season where we won the league, we've become content with just, top four. We need to just get top four. We need to get top four. Top four is the target this year. Top four is the target this year. With Chelsea Football Club, top four should not be the target. We should be looking to win the league. And that is what Lampard is doing now. He's going, look, I mean, the money situation, because we didn't have that money to spend last year, there's a lot of money in the bank now for us to be able to use. Because we basically got basically four windows of money to use in one, which is fantastic for our point of view. But he's going out there and go. But this is why Iron the season's so crucial, because there's no good signing Havertz, Werner, Ziyech, Pope, Chilwell. Even if it was a dream of Meccano, there's no point signing all these players if we're going to be in the Europa League next year.
Well, they're not going to want to come, are they?
Well, that's the thing. We got Ziyech now on. It looks. I'm hoping that he's not going to let me down and make me look like an idiot, but I think Werner's pretty much there.
I've screenshotted all your comments just in case.
Werner, please don't do. If you're listening to this, please don't let me down there, because I will get hounded out. Because I gave, for those of you listening, one of our best mates is Tom. He's a Tottenham fan, and last year he got so gassed about Dybala coming in. And he was literally going, "Oh, Dybala, this is going to be a wicked signing. We're going to do this." And then obviously Dybala didn't happen. I ripped him. So I can only imagine what's going to come back if that falls through. But it's so important to get Champions League, because there's no point signing all these players if they're going to play in the Europa League. There's no point.
No, I agree with you. Anyway, I'm going to do just run through my 8. God, I don't know. Well, I'm going to unfortunately get rid of Hendrick. Just not putting in that push. I need a Burnley player to put in the push. He kind of gets excited in his own head as well. He does something good, like, I don't know, takes it around a player, gets excited, and then kicks it out of play. I just can't. I don't know why we play him on the wing. I mean, it just drives me nuts. So first one, definitely Jeff Hendrick. I've spoken about this guy so much today, and it will kill me to see him leave, but it looks like it's going to happen now. Phil Bardsley, what a player he's been for us. Just when we need to be solid, you can bring him in. He will leave everything on that pitch, and I'm gutted he's going. Well, he's not definite, but it doesn't look like we're going to renew his contract.
No.
Heartbreaking. If anyone deserved a contract this season, it was him. But I don't think it's Deitch's fault he's going either, so I'm just going to throw out. But on the other hand, it looks like we're bringing in someone to replace him who looks very good from what I've seen, but does play in the Mickey Mouse League. Unfortunately, he's just signed a contract though, so I'm not sure if I can say this one, but I'm gonna. Fortunately, I do think Robbie Brady should have gone. Just can't keep fit, and when he is fit, he's just not got it for us anymore.
No, he's not been the player he was.
We have that problem with Goodmanson, but Goodmanson, when he plays, he scores. You score goals to win games, well, as far as I know anyway. So unfortunately, as much as I do love Robbie Brady, always have one of the greatest moments when we watched that Burnley-Chelsea game. I was hungover, and we were rubbish. Bring Robbie Brady on, scores, and my headache was so bad, but I loved every moment of that. Joe Hart, scrap. I'm really happy.
He's dissing the club, isn't he?
I would hate Nick Pope to go, but I'm confident in Bailey Peacock Farrell. I mean, to have an international keeper as your backup keeper is incredible.
One I'm surprised you haven't said is Ben Gibson.
Well, that was my last one.
Oh, sorry. I thought you'd done 4. Sorry.
Go get him in the bin. Doesn't deserve to be at this great club. Like, just he's done exactly what Patrick Bamford's done. So you look at Vidra. Vidra really struggled. He openly said, like, I'm struggling to get in the team. What else am I meant to do? But I'm going to wait it out. He said it's tough, but my time will come. Look at Vidra's time came. And
He was brilliant. He's been brilliant.
Yeah, and he, like, the fans love him. Like, he loves the fans. I'd understand if he held something against Deitch. It's understandable. But he puts it all on the pitch like the rest of them do. But look at Gibson. You just had to watch him play against Everton that day, and you wonder why the fans didn't take to him. He didn't want to be there.
No.
I'm just thinking that, I mean, he was unfair against Olympiacos. That he should never got sent off ever in a million years. Actually, funny enough, that game's been looked into from corruptness. I don't know, corruptness is definitely not the word, but from like corruption in the Greek league from Olympiacos. Yeah, because you ask any Burnley fan, something dodgy happened in that game. The one at Olympiacos. I mean, we should have beaten them in the second leg, but Sam Vokes just could not find the goal anywhere. But yeah, I think that easily my 4. I say easily, Robbie. I mean, I'd sad to see Hendrick go because that first season with us, he was fantastic, but just hasn't done it since. But does bring a big moment every season. And Robbie Brady always be such a loved player, just really unfortunate for him. But to bring in, it'll be that, I could not tell you his name off the top of my head, but it's that youngster from Genk, the right back. Looks so good, really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what fast is anymore. We haven't had a fast player in ages. I mean, our fastest player before that was probably like Marvin Bartley, and I don't think he knew how to run. Who else? That's such a good question. I wish I thought about this before asking, actually. We need a striker. Like,
we need a pacey striker.
Yeah, like, do you know what? We've been linked with Lyle Taylor. I know he's 30, but I mean, he looks pretty good to me. He looks like the kind of striker we need. Like, we take Ashley Barnes off. Like, we always play Barnes and Wood, if they're fit. We take Barnes off. Who do we bring on? Someone who's quite like Wood, or we bring Vidra on who's quite like Barnes.
Yeah, you need someone. I've said this for years. Burnley need a bit of pace up front.
And I'll take Lyle Taylor. I wouldn't say he's the fastest player around, but he can score all kinds of goals. And I think we need that. So I think I would. I mean, there's a lot of question. We are the favourites to sign him at the moment, but there is a lot of question because he is 30. But, you know, I don't care. If he can play for 2-3 years, free transfer, why not?
Yeah.
We need, blimey, do we need a winger? Of course we do. Unfortunately, Goodmanson always injured. McNeil can only play on the right, which is fine. Brady, I know he's signed for another year, but I just don't think he can give us anything anymore.
No.
Who would I sign? I don't know. It's such a hard, like, doing realistic transfers with Burnley because
what is a realistic transfer?
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually struggling just to give our name really. Could be anyone. I would love to say Ben Rama, but
that'd be good.
Realistically,
with us, Ollie, though.
Huh?
He was linked with us the other day.
I know. Like, realistically, what will happen with someone like Ben Rama is we'll put in like a £15 million bid. Tottenham will go, oh, we'll offer you 50 million, and then say we don't want him anymore. And then Brentford will be like, well, we want 80 million for him now. That's what happens with every living player. And we do need. I think Brownhill's going to be really good for us.
Yeah, I think next season's going to be his year, isn't it?
But I do think we need a different kind of midfielder. We got Westwood, who can pass the ball anywhere. Fantastic passer of the ball. Jack Cork, solid. I can't give him any other word. He sometimes gets some stick from the Burnley fans, but Jack Cork's one of my favourite players. I think he just gets the job done. I can always rely on him to get the job done. Whereas Westy, love Westy, but he's had some bad games this season. But Jack Cork, solid. But I'm really irritated because we were linked with Adam Lallana,
That would be a bad signing.
And I thought, oh, it was us and Leicester, and I thought, oh well, we can't battle Leicester with the wages, but he bloody hates Brendan Rodgers, doesn't he, Adam Lallana?
Oh,
So
yes, yes.
So I was like, we're going to sign him, and then he signed a bloody 1-year contract today. I was like,
I don't think it's 1 year. I think it's only to the end of the season.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think it's only. It said it was a short-term one, so I think it's only to just cover to the end of the season.
Get him in, 50 grand a week, definitely worth it. I mean, I don't think he's Liverpool standard at all.
I love Lallana. I think Lallana. I've always rated Lallana. I really like Lallana.
I can't.
Good little player.
Oh, I've never really in the Liverpool shirt. I've never really rated him, but for us, it would be fantastic. He suits our style of play too well, so that would be my. I can't remember who was the one I said for a winger. I can't remember. Oh, Ben Rama. That was
Ben Rama. That's it.
Or actually, I would take. Is it Adoy Samuel, the one from QPR? It's not Adoy Samuel. What is his name? Something Samuel. I can't think what his name is off the top. I can't
remember his name, but yeah,
it's quite quick. Actually, the only reason I know this is because one of my dad's mates from work is a QPR fan. But that Eze, he's all right. He looks all right, but he's weak. He doesn't score as many goals as he should.
Yeah.
But apparently, everyone's just missing out on this Samuel because everyone's too interested in Eze. So I would take that Samuel, I think, actually, because I don't think we stand a chance with Ben Rama, to be honest.
No, I think he's going to cost a lot. And we know from watching him how good a player he is.
Changes the game, mate.
Well, that's the thing, and you're going to get clubs like West Ham and that coming in for him. And
yeah, I mean, we need. I don't want us to be spending over 20 million on players, especially with this coronavirus. Stick to your 10 to 15 million pound players, and I think we'll be fine.
Oh, but we're nearly. Oh, it's nearly. I'm literally now. We actually. You know what? Actually, I really miss just chatting about football. I've been so deprived of it because there's nothing to talk about. Because it's just there's nothing. No transfers been happening really. There's no games have been happening.
No,
I've missed the proper football conversation.
Well, we're just going to have to see how it turns out. I'm hopeful. I'm so praying it works out, especially if we're not like going back to work anytime soon.
No, I mean, I'm so glad about that because actually the first few weeks I can just sit and watch football and like, it's on BBC as well. I can't believe that. I was like, some of the games, I think that's really good what the Premier League is doing, that they're broadcasting it so the fans can watch it. And like putting it on BBC, BT, Sky. I think the BBC one's a huge one for me. Like putting it out on a channel everyone can watch is so important.
Oh yeah, completely. Right, well, can't believe first episode. We've been talking about it. Actually, to be fair, we haven't been talking about it that long, but we've been wanting to do it for a while now.
Yeah, I know, man. It feels good.
It does feel good, and I don't want to think how many new podcasts have started during the coronavirus lockdown, but I'm now officially putting us the number one to start now. We're the number one coronavirus podcast.
We're going to smash this one, and we're going to, I don't know how many times we'll probably do it. Maybe try and do it maybe 2 times a week.
Maybe. Imagine in 10 years' time if we're still doing this and they're like, we get these new fans and they're like, why is it 2 meters apart? I just don't get it.
We can't change our name now.
No, exactly. We can't be 442. It's like there's already 442 magazine.
I know. So yeah, we sneakily snuck in with that one, but it's been brilliant, Ollie. I've really enjoyed chatting to you, man. It's been class.
I was gonna say thanks for being here, but you got to be here every week now. You've signed up to
it. Oh well, we will. I think we'll probably do another one later in the week, and then as we near, we could do a Bundesliga special. Talk a bit about the Bundesliga as well, and see.
My favourite league at the moment.
I know, yeah. Well, it's the only one's watching it. Like, yeah, exactly. We could talk a bit about La Liga coming back. Because La Liga's back this weekend.
Actually, on Free Sport, if anyone cares, you can watch the Polish league. I don't recommend it, but if you want to, why not? It's free. It's
football. It's going to actually make me appreciate football, so much football. Like, there's some games that like used to be like, oh well, I won't I'll try and get back for it. But if not, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to appreciate every single bit of football if it comes my way in the future. And with everything,
Aston Villa, I can't wait.
well, even like general things in life now, like I think now we really start to take note of the things that we took advantage of in life that you didn't even realise you were taking advantage of. And that's going to be like now it's going to be so important to do things and to sit. And if you ever sit there and go, oh, don't really want to do that, you think back to these times and go, what I would have done to have done it in those times. So that's my advice for people. I think now we've got to really start appreciate things that we've got in our lives at the moment.
So not only the number one coronavirus football podcast, the number one coronavirus therapy podcast. You heard it here first.
We got to have a bit of uplifting, you know what I mean? Oh, it's been sick. I've loved it.
All right, well, let's see. There's no schedule, but we'll wing it. That's what we do best.
That's what we do best. On the wing. Wing on the wing.
Oh, that's for next time. Wing on the wing. All right, everyone stay safe.
Stay safe, guys.
Aye, Ashley Barnes.